on that end. And then Instagram, more personal, behind the scenes. A lot of our reporters will do in their Insta stories. They'll just talk about where they are and show, take people to where they are. That's kind of the big thing, especially with Facebook Live videos. They say, really just bring the viewer, take them to where you are. So we also had, like, during the Super Bowl, there was a zip line. So it was February, it's very cold, and we had an outdoor zip line that went across the Mississippi. And so that one, you had people interested in that who aren't just from the Twin Cities, and people wanted to see it, so they had a GoPro and a live camera, and they did a live video while they went across on the zip line. So stuff like that. Time management, this is the biggest thing that I've really struggled with and I had to get better at, because again, when you're focused on getting your video, it's hard to remember, I gotta tweet or I gotta do this. So I've learned how to kind of try to prioritize things. So I mention this like in every single session, but I always ask, like, is there any info I know now before the shoot that I can just have on like my notes on my phone, so that I can easily copy and paste and then add whatever info I need to. So like, for example, I was doing a press conference about the Archdiocese. We had a huge settlement with clergy abuse, and this was one of the sexual abuse survivors, and her name, when she went up there, she didn't say or spell her name. She was just like, I'm Marie. And so then you're sitting there needing to tweet it, and you're like, wait, Marie who? Like, can you say and spell your name for me, during the press conference? But they had an email ahead of time that had all the names and the titles of the people. And so I had just copy and pasted that into my notes ahead of time. And so I could quickly just copy and paste her name and then quote her and have a photo. So that just really sped up a lot of those issues for me that I usually deal with. And I'll make note of any moment. So when you're out on a story, I always think, like, is there a really nice moment that you could just isolate and put onto Facebook or put onto Twitter? Because really that's what people are looking for, is more the moments that they're going to want to share. I'll show some examples of that. And then, any video you can post ahead of your interview. So sometimes if I'm waiting for an interview, is there anything going on now while I'm just waiting for someone and I'm not actually shooting video that I could social as well? So live videos, I will say I do not thrive in this category. It's definitely not my favorite to do the Facebook Live, but I do them, and they do work as far as getting more interaction and more people coming to your Facebook page. I really like it for big events where you can actually just let it roll and you don't have to be talking over it. I don't like when I have to be talking over it the whole time, and to me that's not really where I thrive again. But for Philando Castile, we had a huge officer involved shooting, and here we go. So this one, oh no, why is it not? Maybe if I escape out of this. So really there was a oh, I'm not on the internet. Well, there you go. So for this one, I really would just Facebook Live what was happening and just kind of, and these, I would say, because it had such high interest, you're getting, I don't typically have like 22,000 people watching my videos. It's usually like 7. But, with this, it's a larger thing.
All night in front of the governor's mansion.
So here, it's just a press conference. I really should have had like a tripod or something. This was 2 years ago, so I did not have I have a tripod now. So I was holding it up the whole time, and I will say my arm
by the shooting death of this young man.
By the end of it,
many of us
really,
watched
if you
the
can
video,
find some sort of, or if you have a camera, a mulch to put it on there as well.
At the thought.
But this one, I had so much interaction on it, and we had one where the girlfriend of Philando, she was the one in the car when he was shot by the officer, and the first time she spoke was the next morning, and one of our reporters did a Facebook Live of it, and she gained like 100,000, she gained, not 100,000, she gained like 20, 30,000 Facebook followers just from that one video she had posted, which was just crazy. It just really blew up. Super Bowl as well. So anytime there's a big event. So for me, like, I love cats. I'm like a really big cat lady, and so I got to cover the Kitten Bowl, and so I was really excited about that. But this is one too where if you can get someone, what I say, if there's an event where you can just let it roll, but also if you can get someone talking to help you, that's always great.
Hello everyone, this is Heidi with
I'm just moving.
We are right on the field. So cute.
And then,
I'm here
so I
with
have
Matthew.
the, so really it's like, really with this one, it's like you're just showing the cats. I mean, people love kittens, and people were telling me like the Justin Timberlake concert was going, or not concert, his press conference was going on at the same time, and everyone was like, I prefer watching your live feed right now with the cats. But with this one, like I had a guy talking the whole time, so it wasn't just me like, you know what I mean, trying to figure out what to say and like showing the cats and just really not adding a lot of value. So this guy, I let him be the person telling me everything while I'm showing the cats. So it's almost like he's my reporter and I can just focus on all of the video. But I thought that one was super cute as well. So simple videos, really, I think some of the most effective videos I've done have been the ones where it's just one shot on my phone. And those can do better than I'll do like a really highly edited sort of Facebook tease and I'll get like 2 likes on it. And then I'll do something where it's just really more natural and it'll get a lot more. I did this one where it was basically a boat tribute. So he was a big fisherman. And so it's basically just fishing boats for his funeral that all drove by. But again, like for this one, it had like 8,000 views. My Dear Lovin' didn't share it on their Facebook or anything. And again, usually I get not a lot of views. But I think I had his name on there, on my description, and I think people were searching for his name, and that's how they found the video. So that's always good to include those things. But yeah, that's a very simple, how many seconds long? Oh, that is not mine. What's interesting too is I did the same video. So I did this Facebook drumline video. And it was basically at the Mall of America during the Super Bowl. And it's just, it's just a drumline. What's interesting is like that did way better on Twitter than it did on Facebook. And I think again that's because it was happening now and people were actually searching things related to the Super Bowl. And again, Matt and I were talking about this yesterday, it's like really a guessing game, I feel like a lot of times, as far as I just experiment with posting things and I just jot down notes if I actually did something that did well and kind of look at why is it that posted well. But that, again, with the drumline, I was doing live hits and I was in between my live hits and I had nothing going on, so I was just walking around the mall and I saw that, and so I just recorded it on my phone. You post, 20 seconds and then all of a sudden, it's a nice social video for them. I do this too where sometimes I'll do after I've edited my story, I'll have some time and I'll be like, I'm just gonna post like some of my video to social media, just my raw video from my camera, and sometimes that people respond well to. So I did one where it's just a VO from the National Walkout. So it's basically just, it's just shots of the video, and this took me a minute, 2 minutes to put together and put it onto a timeline, and then like hashtags obviously help with it. Was National School Walkout Day, so people were tweeting about it. But I mean, that's a really simple video that you could do that doesn't take long to do. Or I've done ones where it's just
They're really pushing girls to succeed in STEM. It's really like encouraging seeing all these different women succeeding in their fields and like other kids our age also creating their own apps and trying to solve problems in their community and being proactive.
Yeah, so it's just taking one of the thoughts and putting some video of it down. I've also done where, you just have, maybe you have like really cool GoPro footage. I had all these birds and I was just like loving these birds. And it's basically just a lot of it was just my GoPro. And my story was about Free Park Friday. So I just put video of birds. And so I do stuff like that, you know what I mean? Obviously, like anything animal related, people really respond to if you have anything like that. And then some of the photojournalists I work with, they have some really good examples of just nice Twitter moments. So our sports photographer, I mean, I feel like if you're a sports photographer, you're probably getting a lot of really cool moments that people want to share. And so, yeah, so he said, I've captured a lot of cool moments in my nearly 3 years at KHOU, but this kid from Gillette running and diving into first base just became my new favorite. And that had 500 likes. I mean, that's a lot for one of us. I mean, I don't know how many followers he has, but let's see here. Like, so this video, you'll see. And this is an 11-second video, and this was taken from his camera when he got back to the station. See what I mean? It's a really simple, short video. But if you see a nice moment like that on a story of yours, you know, post it to social media like that, I think people really respond to it. And also, like, for Facebook, for example, if you don't have a Facebook page, I think it's just communication with your digital team and letting them know, hey, I have this really, you know, nice video of this boy sliding into, you know, do you want to share it? And giving them, you know, more, because they don't know what you're doing out there and what you find while you're out there. And yeah, he had another one where, what is this one? Oh yeah, it's just, you know, kids interacting.
Give me 5. There you go. They're so used to the hospital that I just want them to feel like a normal kid again. I want to give them an experience and help them forget they're going through treatment at that time. ¿Quieres jugar fútbol? Yeah? Perfecto.
So it's almost like a mini pack. But people really like those. I mean, that got like 113, and again, how many? I mean, yeah, he has like 1,600 followers, and you know what I mean? He can, he's really great at putting together just these short videos like that. Ben Garvin, he's one of our photojournalists who is amazing, but he does a lot of still photography as well. And I feel like his stills really get a lot of love. People love stills as well. But he did this, he just posted, this is the raccoon again. But, you know, he's going down, brave NPR raccoon. Now on the 16th floor, you know what I mean? And that has like over 2,000 likes. So when you have something that everyone's kind of talking about and interested in, and then he also had one where it's just a video from, so it's all stills and audio. And again, this is the raccoon. I'm sorry if you guys are sick of this, but
we came to get the experience of the St. Paul raccoons. You kind of need stupid things to keep your mind off of what's, you know, heavy stuff. So
there they are, your starting entertainment team. But wait, say hello to the NPR raccoon. Please welcome the man who reported the adventures of the NPR raccoon and the man who was the photojournalist on site, Tim Nelson and Evan Frost. Fire when ready, Tim.
You know, it was a raccoon-shaped asteroid that came streaking out of space and hit me in the back of the head. I mean, that's what this is like.
Leading off the inning for the Raccoons, third baseman Jay.
There's a raccoon out in center field. I think he's going to climb up that ladder soon.
Coincidentally, we dressed up as raccoons for Halloween this year. My high school mascot is a raccoon. Woohoo! Go Coonies!
We have a special logo design. It was just for tonight. So the team's wearing the jerseys. We auction them off. Tonight it's going to Wildlife Rescue.
The perseverance of climbing up 23 stories. I want a jersey. So I bid 100, but I want it. So if someone goes higher, I'm going to overbid them.
He looks like I hope he's not foaming at the mouth. Oh, he's napping.
oh, is he going to make it? Oh, no. Come on, raccoon.
Minnesota strong.
Yeah.
so that obviously is not like a simple social video, but those do really well for us as well.
Was that broadcast?
This one, I don't know if it was. Sometimes we do broadcast them, and sometimes they're just digital specials.
So, I mean, the logo burned in made me think it was broadcast.
So we always do that when we post longer things. We put the watermark on there. That one might have broadcast though. Sometimes it's half and half with him. Sometimes he does it just more while he's getting stills, and we just do like a gallery, and they'll put it online only. And then sometimes they'll air the full package as well.
So was he using a still camera or
a DSLR?
So that was. So he wasn't shooting. Was he doing both during that thing?
So he was shooting stills, but just grabbing audio. But then you saw he had the GoPro time lapse. And so he's done a couple in that style, and some of them have aired. And again, yes, some of them have been more social, digital, web-only type things. But it's pretty cool. And then also, like, photos. Just having a really great photo can people respond to. So I had one, you can't really see it on this screen with both of these, but we had a blizzard in April. And so it's basically just the two photos of them before and now, and then 35 years later recreating it. And that one people really responded to as well. They love stuff like that. And then this one, you know, little boy selling hot dogs, same thing. It's like just saying a little bit about where he was selling them. Videos with text. So do you guys do a lot of social type videos with text? Or no? Okay, so I mean, I'm still experimenting with them, and I did one the other day. It took me over an hour, so it's not something that I'm just going to be doing in my daily day-to-day. But if you have a special project that you've been working on that you could spend more time doing, we do a lot of these little social tease type videos. The key with these is actually give people information. Like, it is a tease, but it's not a tease. It's actually telling you a story as well. So this is one boy did for his land.
He's cold though. I can feel he's cold. George is probably my oldest friend.
It's basically just some music, some text, and showing some of the photos. And you'll notice how, like, some of the words were larger, you know, if you can find keywords and make them in different fonts or larger, or if you saw with, like, the SOT, they had it in yellow instead. We have, through our promo people, they have, like, a specific, like, recommendations for, like, do you guys all use Proxima? No. Oh, wait, you're not an idiot, so. We have certain, like, text we have, you know, we should use, and kind of to keep it all within a similar style and a cohesive format.
That's the Tegna font. It was Proxima.
Okay, so you guys have Proxima Nova too? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we do that even with, so like social video, we're supposed to do that with our social videos too.
Okay. Proxima Nova.
Yeah, and then we talked about this earlier about like Square Video. I hear it does better for Facebook, and I was talking to one of your anchors, and he was saying that he does feel like the Square Video does better for him on Facebook. He actually gave a really good recommendation. He says he's not going to be making social videos for every single story, but if he has one that does really well, he might go back and do a social video for it on Facebook. And so that's a really good idea, because I had a story, I showed it the other day. It's basically a house. They call it the Harry Potter house, and it's just a huge mansion castle with all these different rooms, and it was like our top story for several days. And really, I should have noticed that and said, maybe I'll make a social video for this, and it's great because it's a lot of stills showing different rooms, it's visual, and that would have made a great social video as well. Grab them early, that's what they always say. So, like, you know, with packages, we like to save our moments and our reveals, whereas with social, it seems like that people respond more to that. What do you think, Matt?
I think that's true.
Yeah.
I think you only have a few seconds to stop someone from scrolling, whether it's on Facebook or Twitter, and you kind of have to do whatever you can to make that happen. So I think a lot of movement helps a lot with that. Like I did a story on a skydiver, and I started the social video with the moment that he jumped out of the plane. He was 93 years old. And starting with that moment, even if you can't tell yet that he's 93 years old, you can still see, you're still watching someone jump out of a plane. That is immediately arresting. So I definitely think that helps.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, that's basically, if you want to talk a little bit about, so I said, yeah, like if it's a tease, actually give us some content as well. You know, don't just tease very generic. Give us some information. So we heard with that lady, like they've been friends for this long, and they, you know, all these different tidbits, and he's still holding back information. He's not giving you everything, but he's giving you enough where you would want to share it with people and show it. Yeah, and focus on one easy to I try to make them focus and not add too much in there. You don't want it to be too cluttered with stuff. And I'm trying to think what else. Oh yeah, so I looked up some stuff on this because again, it's really a guessing game. You know, sometimes I don't know why a tweet takes off and another one doesn't. But some things like why people share videos, you know, to be social, express how they're feeling about a particular topic, show off or humble brag, prove they were the first ones to find something, to make friends and colleagues laugh. I mean, so, and also when I ask a question, it's interesting on Twitter, it was just a very simple, like, when will Minnesota drivers embrace the zipper merge? And I got like the most interaction and people talking to me through Twitter than I ever have. Like, people are very passionate about the zipper merge. And then even MnDOT though responded, and they actually showed their zipper merge. And so, you know, it was nice because it turned into an educational moment for people, because a lot of people in Minnesota don't know what a zipper merge is. So it was kind of nice. But yeah, questions always do well with the interaction on social. And that's basically everything I have. Matt, do you have any tips with social?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a broad subject. I think, you know, the first rule of any social media session like this is that really no one knows what they're doing for the most part. And by and large, you know, a lot of it is figuring out what works for you. So figuring out what your audience wants. Right down to on Facebook, you can tell what time your specific followers are on Facebook more than not. You guys all know about that, about insights, everything? Yeah. So I think it really does come down to experimenting and curating what works for your audience. A couple of things I'll say. One thing that I was sitting up about to give this same session yesterday, and there was a group from the PBS station talking about this exact subject, and one of their instructors or something had just attended a whole conference on this, and she gave this really great piece of advice that I maybe tried to do in my mind, but never really heard elocuted so well, clearly better than I'm doing that. But she said, when it comes to photos and videos, but specifically photos, look for the photos that you can hear. So look for the photos that when you see them, you can kind of hear what's going on in them. And I think you can almost expand that to photos that activate the senses. So if you're at a protest, you can show, you know, a wide shot of people walking, but if you show that one person with, you know, her arm in the air and her mouth is open and she's saying something, that's a very powerful image that you can hear. We were talking about, Heidi, you went out with a reporter the other day to Galveston, and you got these great shots of the beach. And if I see a beautiful landscape of a beach, I'm imagining the sound of the waves coming in. Keith's here. Keith even mentioned, like, especially on Galveston, that there's like the smell of the salt water. And if you can have a photo that activates the senses like that, those can be really, really powerful. So I thought that was a great piece of advice. I don't have a whole lot of, you know, in the field evidence to show how that would work, but it makes a lot of sense when you think about the photos that get you to stop, because there's a lot of just very static, kind of two-dimensional images that people post onto social, and those typically are the ones, for me anyway, that I just kind of scroll by. The but when it is something that is powerful and unique and can activate those senses, it helps a lot.
Yeah, I'll also do, I don't know Twitter versus Facebook with videos, like but Facebook really, the more videos versus pictures. Like my stills do better on Twitter, my video does better on Facebook. And what I'll do sometimes is like, you saw some of those teases I have, or even just like those birds that I'll have, I'll post that on Facebook, but then with a tease, but then I'll go back and I'll put the link to my story later in there. And I get more clicks on my actual story that way because they're seeing it, because it's getting, with the Facebook algorithms, it's getting bumped up, like the video's getting bumped up. Whereas if I just put a link to the story, like no one clicks on it. So I don't know, that's what I found. What about you?
Yeah, I would say that's true. We get, and our digital folks have told us this, we get 95 to 99% of our web traffic from Facebook. So for all the tweeting we do, we've got some people who are really into Instagram too, and we send out, an email blast every morning with a dozen headlines, with the stuff that gets people to click. It's all coming from Facebook, even with all the algorithm changes and everything. I'm curious, what are the expectations for y'all? Like, what are you being asked to do? Where have you had success individually, digitally?
Well, I've actually, I don't do it as much as I should, but there's been times that I'll take, just quick video and put something together and just shoot it over to web. And so, like, most recent is we had like a vote side in the 10, and so I really liked it. So I went on and put together a little quick montage and shot it straight to web. And so they posted it. And so I think for me, I need to more take over my own Twitter account and get a Facebook page created so I can post those things, because I think we all have, I'm talking too much, but yeah. We all learn from just the repetition of doing it. And so I think for me, that's kind of why I wanted to make a point to come. That's what it's for.
What about the rest of you? What about the honor folks? What are you being asked to do every day?
We're asked to tweet. Now they're trying to get us into Facebook Living. I'm with Heidi on Facebook Live though, especially at 3 o'clock in the morning. No one's really up.
Right.
So it's hard for me to just sit there with the phone in my face just rambling on and on. So I feel like that's difficult. I think that one thing that has helped me is that one of our photographers, Mario, he tends to, when we're out, take a whole bunch of pictures, use a whole bunch of hashtags, and gets a lot of feedback from that, just because like the KHOU 11 hashtag, it automatically retweets on our page, and then he gets a lot of retweets and likes from that. So I kind of just mimic that as far as Twitter goes. As far as video goes, I'm with you too. Like if it's a presser, I'm gonna go straight to Twitter. I'm gonna use Periscope.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so it'll just automatically live stream, because one thing that we usually do is that KHOU will live stream it on our page, and then it'll be hooked to the Facebook too. So I don't have to worry about the Facebook aspect. It's just I've already given you so many, like, this is what's going on now, this is what we know now, this is what we know. Okay, now this is authorities giving us a briefing, so people can just kind of like that we're already following, already get it there. They have asked the morning crew to start doing the Instagram thing. I gotta get to the point where I'm comfortable with asking these guys to take my picture for it to work out.
Because Heidi was hooking me up with some mad Instagram advice last night over dinner.
See, my Instagram, I use it, I don't use it as a work page. I just put personal, but what I do is I post a lot of Minneapolis and St. Paul. So I post a lot of just restaurants and photos I like. And I don't know how many viewers actually follow me, but I make it more, I'm going to show you some behind the scenes. Like I'll show maybe like a shot of the newsroom or a shot, and people love those, I know. I'm not big, like I'm not doing like selfies and everything, but I know people who do a lot of selfies, and they get a lot more interaction on when they do a story than I do, because I don't do that, you know what I mean? So it's for me, it's more, you need to find what you're comfortable with, your style, your voice, and it's going to be different depending on who it is, you know what I mean? Because I know some people who are really comfortable doing Facebook Lives and love doing the interactive things, and that works for them. But then you have people like Ben, who he's not doing any of that. He's not doing any types of that, but he's focused really on his stills and his visuals, and he excels in that area. So just finding your style, you know, what you're comfortable with, and I think that's important. Not everyone's going to have the same social media presence online.
But I think one thing you said that is really important, and I would recommend that all of you try to adopt it, is to lean on each other. And the fact that, like, if you have a photographer who's taking photos, you can then repurpose them. And I'll just show you an example this week, because I've been, you know, I've been tweeting too much this week, but I've been trying to just show what I've been up to in Houston. And when I came in on Tuesday, Reka had this photo of the James Harden pizza that y'all had delivered here the other day. And so I instantly was like, oh, let me get that photo, airdrop it to me, I'm gonna tweet it out. So I did that, and I put up a you know, relatively innocuous tweet, spotted at KHOU Studios, this pizza from Papa John's with James. I didn't even really say anything clever or funny, I just posted it. And 5 hours later, I pull up Twitter and my mentions are going crazy because SB Nation picked it up. And they posted about it with a much better tweet. With that, it would create interactivity. And then just so everyone can have fun this morning, check out the replies to that about what everybody thinks about James Harden.
That's my favorite.
Yeah. So anyway, that didn't take a whole lot of effort to do. It just took looking out and then, again, kind of leaning on each other, repurposing. I don't even know if she had already posted that, but I figured my followers in Atlanta were probably different than her followers in Houston. And I didn't even tag SB Nation or anything like that, but kind of like what Heidi was saying before, I think there are a lot of these giant organizations and companies. They've got search filters on TweetDeck, and they're looking for specific things. So I'm sure SB Nation has a James Harden search column, and when something like that pops up, they're like, oh, boom, and they gave me the credit, and off it went. So, but that wouldn't have happened if, you know, without that synergy. I didn't even see the pizza. I saw people come up and pick the olives off. So that's a big part.
I'll do that with, if I'm doing a story, I'll try to tag them either on Facebook or on Twitter, because if they retweet it, then it reaches more of the people that actually are probably interested in seeing my story. So that's always helped me too. I do this thing called Adventures, where it's like highlighting local businesses, and so I'll tag them in a tease ahead of time, and they'll always like want to repost it. Obviously, they want people to see it, and they'll promote it more, what time it's going to be on and everything.
The other thing too, and Keith, are you okay with me showing the video from yesterday?
Sure. They don't really call me a dork.
Well, this doesn't show you're a dork. So, if you've been in any of my sessions, I've talked about the lenses for the phone and like the plug-in microphone you can get for the phone. They're like $15 on Amazon. And the lenses really came in handy yesterday when Keith, Kyle, and I were on our way back from lunch. And unbeknownst to me, they pulled up to the old station, what now exists there. So, you know, right away I knew just for myself, because I've been here a bunch of times, I've worked out of that building enough. I wanted to kind of have some mementos of it. So I took a photo of it with the phone, but then I saw the way that they were kind of interacting with it, and I just started rolling, and I had the lens on so that it could get a wider look. So I'll play the video that we shot, again, with your blessing, Keith, if that's okay. And, you know, this turned out to be something, well, you know.
It's just so crazy, because you sit here and think, man, it's like you want to dig through it, because it's like a sandbox. You just want to, can I just dig a little here?
Doing all right over here?
Yeah.
Drive over by this?
Yeah, you know, it was hard for all of us, especially when the first parts of it came down. That was really difficult. But I think we're all accepting it now, and thanks for asking. It does. It makes you sad. Kyle and I walked through, we walked through it together.
Yep, I spent 7 years here, and you were, how long? 15 or so?
13, 14. And we were going through and just looking at everything, and so, you know.
It feels better now being
here than
it does
before.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I just kind of instinctively shot that, and thankfully Keith and Kyle were okay with it, and I asked Keith, because he did get a little emotional, if it was okay if I posted that, and he said yeah. And that was shot, again, that was shot with the phone, looks broadcast quality on that big screen. The phone with one of those lenses, just to have that wide angle. And I think having that stuff with you can really pay off sometimes. I mean, we were saying yesterday that, I mean, y'all could use that in your 1 year special about the hurricane and talking about going back to the old building. And that's really powerful stuff. And that had nothing to do with me, that had everything to do with what they were saying and the experience of being back there. But, you know, we have these real powerful devices, and I think it behooves us when we see those moments to just take that extra second to capture the moment and, you know, think of how we could use it, whether it's on air or online.
Something I do is I just find people who I admire, like their social media presence I admire, and I kind of follow them and take notes on what they're doing for advice, because again, like I said, I mean, I would by no means say I'm an expert, I'm just trying to figure it out like everyone else, but I do know people who are always turning out really high quality images and really powerful videos to go along with it.
Yeah, and the thing I like, you showed one of the Land of 10,000 Stories examples, and those are so good precisely because they inform.
Yeah.
And I think the big problem that I run into is that I end up teasing my stories.
Right.
And teasing what's coming, rather than having something that someone would ultimately want to share.
Right.
Someone might watch it and be, okay, that's cool, maybe I'll watch it later, but it's more important that they share that. And I think the ability to inform without giving away your whole story is what's valuable there.
Yeah.
By the way, on another note, I brought in Shipley's Donuts for everybody. So there's only a dozen. I didn't think there would be this many people in the room. So if y'all want some, they are there on the side.
Hey, show them NBC News Cruise. Can you pull that
Oh,
up?
from the guy on Instagram?
Dwayne?
Or Instagram.
Yeah, Dwayne. You know Dwayne?
I know Dwayne only because he started following me on Instagram, and I'm like, who is this guy? Yeah.
So, Dwayne is an NBC News photographer. Let me see if he's got nothing recent, so.
But that time lapse is great.
He's great on social media, though. Yeah.
So this is a photographer who works for NBC News. He's like Lester Holt's guy. He was Brian Williams' guy. He goes on the road a lot, shoots a lot of cool assignments. No one knows his name. No one knows what he looks like. Who doesn't know him personally? But he has 48. Oh, wait a minute. You're not seeing what I'm seeing. Try to pull this up. Did you talk about the just kind of like the demand of it that you feel?
Yeah, I did. And I was saying, like, I still struggle with that. I've had to just kind of make things more of a habit.
Yeah.
And I'm still working on that as far as out in the field. I don't feel like I've gotten into a good habit of always remembering, is there something I can social right now? I have gotten into a good habit of, when I back time my day, and I'll literally put down, I need to log by this time, write by this time, edit by this time, I will make time every day in there for teases.
Yeah.
So I'll do all like the social teas for my Facebook, for my Twitter, and I'll try to do that every single day. As far as right out in the field in the moment, that's something it has not become habitual for me yet. Yeah.
One thing I always did, that's a really interesting strategy, because I would try to do it periodically through the day.
Which is smart, I think.
Well, everybody has their own thing, but I would just do it before, when I left a shoot, before I started driving to the next one, I would just like pause and do it real quick. And the big thing that I always think about is like, if I can kill two birds with one stone, I try to do it. And knowing that our web folks will build their our digital folks will build their web stories around whatever I send back to them, I can either email them a description and a bunch of photos and post it on social media, or I can just post it on social media and say, you know where to find it. And that has a lot of time to work when it comes to press conferences on Twitter. I'll live tweet the thing, and then they've got like 20 quotes they can use in a web story. So I know in the afternoon session on this yesterday, one of your photographers, Larry, was saying that if he passes by something, he'll just send it out and tag KHOU 11 in it, or KHOU on Twitter, because it's just that simple to, that's a real quick, easy way to get content back. You don't have to worry about Videolicious or anything.
Yeah. I'll always tag care too, because a lot of times I don't know if they're actually going to see it or not, so that kind of ensures it. I will say though, when they take my photos from Twitter, and they put them on the website, they show up, like the quality is not as
Not
great.
as good.
So I do try to email back as well.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I look at the photo, I'm like, this looks bad.
Yeah, and a lot depends on how they're downloading it too.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, this is Dwayne, and this is his timeline. So like right away, he did this amazing time lapse, which is something any of you can do when you get to a shoot. Is just set up a GoPro wherever you know planning on setting up your shoot. Now obviously his is way more elaborate than anything any of us are going to do, I think. But
oh my gosh.
Technique is why I like it.
you want the slow-mo version.
How he's doing it.
So, yeah. And what's funny about it too is like he doesn't really get a lot of comments on his stuff, but because it's so visually arresting, people like and watch it because this has almost more than 2,000 views. And then, you know, like he doesn't really post anything of his story, but when it comes to Instagram, a lot of times, he's in Houston for Barbara Bush, and he doesn't even post that frequently. That's why I find for those of you who really don't do a lot of social and want a nice way to dabble, Instagram and Twitter are very low stakes ways of doing it. Because Instagram, like, even to do it effectively, you really don't have to do it more than once a day.
Yeah.
And Twitter, you know, if you post something and it doesn't do well, it'll just sink to the bottom of people's news feeds and no one will ever see it. So if you're looking for ways to kind of dabble and figure out what your audience is, those two are, I find, really good platforms to experiment.
Yeah, I love Instagram because I can just post landscapes and not have to make them about my story. I don't know, some people they'll post like a crime scene on Instagram, and I'm like, that to me is not what I would go to Instagram to see. Do you feel like,
Well,
what's your experience
remember with
that?
Instagram that there's no dislike, there's no like sad emoji reaction, it's only likes.
Yeah.
So I think it might have been you who said like Instagram is a more positive atmosphere
Yeah.
than so
I
yeah
love
like
Instagram.
our
Yeah.
station has an Instagram account, and when it posts hard news stories, those never do well. But when it
Yeah.
posts, you know, Edna Jones turned 105 today, wish her a happy birthday, those posts do really, really well.
If we'll listen to another session, that's where people go to escape from all the negativity.
Yeah.
Part
Yeah,
of
for
it,
sure.
Facebook, and
Yeah.
so it's where you should like show off positive things, but also show off your city. Your
Yeah,
region.
for sure.
I like that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying with like, I'll just post restaurants or different things where I'm exploring, and we have actually, it's a good idea, one of our Morningside MMJs, she's gotten really into still photography, and she started this thing called like a photo stop thing. So once a week she'll go, and viewers will like recommend places for her to see where you can take beautiful photos. And so this week she was in Red Wing, and there was like she was like a bluff and all of these clouds over, you know, overhead, and she takes a photo of it and she talks about it. And then she on Instagram was doing an Insta story where she's talking about, hey, we're out here, and like just a beautiful visual. And it was smart that she put it on that platform, because if you're really into photography and, you know, wanting to shoot like that, like that's a great place to actually put it.
Yeah.
But it's really fun if you have people who are really into photography. It's a fun idea because she's visiting different cities and interacting with different communities that way too. So you feel like you're getting to know the community more that way too.
Yeah, that's great.
That's really pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
So I mean, he obviously has great access, but he also takes advantage of it. Where, you know, there are probably 100 other news photographers at NBC News who don't have almost 50,000 followers on Instagram. So one of the things someone told me about Instagram is like you got to find your niche. Like you got to find what your lane is. And so we have one reporter who loves hip hop and is from Atlanta, like loves Atlanta hip hop. So what she does is like she'll post, you know, videos of her singing in the car, like singing Outkast in the car. She'll you know, she'll post about music. She'll post an album cover from an album that inspired her, and that has become her lane. And she keeps tagging people and using hashtags or like ATL music, you know, ATL hip hop, any of that stuff. And she very quickly built up a big following. And I think for someone like Dwayne, or for someone like, you know, photography is an obviously easy one, but if you can find what your lane is going to be. I mean, you were talking to me last night about like the consistency in your grid, that when someone comes to your
my grid does not have consistency.
I'm going to show Dwayne's grid.
Yeah, I was saying Instagram people, yeah.
But if someone, you know, someone sees a post that Dwayne makes and they like it and they want to say, and they think, well, maybe do I want to follow this guy? They'll click on his name. I know this is what I do. And then they look at the feed and they'll say, okay, does this sound like an array of someone who I'd like to invite into my social media life? And so you got to think about how your grid looks. Now, as Heidi pointed out to me last night, if you were to look at my grid, it is a freaking mess. So, if you were to look at my grid, you would have no idea what to make of it.
You know what's cool though? I like how you do with your blog. You have the quote from someone, and I think it does invite you into wanting to know more about that person or listen to the podcast. I do think that's nice when you can highlight someone.
Yeah. Do you guys know about Canva? Canva.com? So that's a really cool website that allows you to make really, it's like a so stripped down version of Photoshop, but I can do a quick demo real quick. Do you have your computer?
Were you talking? Oh, so you were talking. He was talking to me about Quick for social.
Oh,
I
yeah.
made a
I'll
social
show that real
video.
So yeah, Quick is another thing. Like if you want to make a quick video and you don't, and you don't really want to use Premiere or like After Effects and have this massive production value, you can just create a video on this app and select a bunch of photos, add it, and then it will go ahead and just make a You could do.
Do you want to see mine?
Yeah.
I made one last night, so I'll show.
Go ahead. But yeah, I mean, you can choose your music that you want. You can choose the order of the photos. You can change the duration, the format. So you can do it as a square. You can do it as a portrait mode. You can do it as cinema. And it is so fast.
Yeah, it's really quick. So Matt was showing me this, and I was like, oh, I'll just try to make one from what I go to HDMI 1.
Oh.
Oh,
You got it? No, okay.
What's the app called?
Quick. Q-U-I-K. Like DJ Quick.
Okay.
And that works primarily with stills or both video and stills?
I think you can use video.
You can use video too. Yeah, mine are only stills, but. Text and but you can do that for like if you're doing a cool story on someone, you could put a bunch of those and put text, and you can actually put text on top of the photo as well. It doesn't. I did it in a style where it was a separate.
We had someone use that in a story.
Yeah.
Like we had someone make an animated, like she was telling the story of this Georgia candidate for governor, like her life, and she did it through like a photo collage, and it looked really, really good.
Yeah, the photo collage one is cool for.
I'll show Canva real quick.
Oh yeah.
So where would you, one of these quick stories, would you just like put it on Instagram then as a video or what?
Instagram would be a good place for it,
You have the dongle for the.
And obviously it's like, there are a lot of stories you would not use that for. Like heavy music and crime scene stories. But if you have a nice feature where, I feel like some of the best thing, the most, like the best reaction I get from some stories I do are for social is when I make it really personal. Like you would make a story, you know, if you had a feature.
It's called Canva.
If you're doing a story and you really focus it on one person, same with my tweets, when I really focus it on highlighting one person for my story, that's when I feel like I get the most positive reception from.
So, I'll just
But yeah, you can download it, so it'll tell you where do you want to put this. You can upload it straight to Instagram, straight to Twitter. It'll directly.
This is a cool one.
Do it that way.
Hope that's my password. Yeah. Alright, so this is Canva. And so this basically just allows you to create a photo, and when you go onto it, it gives you the option for, the right size. So for an Instagram post, it's going to be a square. for Facebook, it'll be more to fit into the screen, all these things. So I have one, for example, when I do a story, I did one on this runner that aired last week, and I have a template where I put up a photo and a quote, and I've got my Untold Atlanta logo, and every time I just go in and change the photo and swap it out for whatever my latest story is. But for this, we'll just do one from scratch, and I can show you how quick it takes, because it's literally click on Instagram post, it creates your layout. I'll go to one of my uploads, I'll throw the brisket on there that I had the other day. And now let's say I wanted to have like a cool border on that. You know, I can just center it up. So you can upload photos, but you can also do also change your background. So now it's got a cool border if I center it right. I can make it green, I can make it any color I want, right? I can put text on it. So I can go ahead and write anything I want. I can change the font. It's got every font that's on my computer. You can change the color of it and the size.
This would be cool too for when you have a Facebook video and you can put a thumbnail as the first thing someone sees in the video.
Yep.
That's a smart way to...
You can change the opacity, you can change the spacing of the letters if you want. You can do similarly with Photoshop, you can arrange it so if you wanted to have it behind something like, let's say, you can do elements, so it has a whole bunch of like free stock photos that you can just put in if you want, that will load hopefully shortly.
Now, is this just for a laptop, or can you do this on your phone?
I don't know if there's an app for it, and I haven't looked yet, because usually when I'm doing it, it's at like after my story runs and I put it together. But it's worth checking out. I'd have to imagine there's something.
What's
You
it called
can use
again?
Adobe Spark.
This is
Adobe
called
Spark.
Canva. It's Canvas without the S. And here's another little thing, like you can do it this simple. It's got this frames option. So let's say you don't want to have to line up all your photos and crop them how you want it. You can actually click this, like one of these frames. In this case, it's a 3-frame thing. And then when you drag a picture in, it's going to naturally just drop it in. So let's say, here are the last 3 stories I've done. And suddenly I have this thing, and that took 5 seconds, you know? Yeah, so it has those grids that I showed. It's got all these stock photos that you can throw in there as well. You can put shapes in, you can put lines in, you can do illustrations. It's got templates for layouts that you can use if you want. So for me, it's just a really quick and dirty way. Photoshop for me takes a lot of time, even though it's obviously has so much more power. But something like this is really quick, and then you just download it however you want. I'm not going to download this to your computer. But yeah, so that's that. It's a really cool little.
Can I show them an app real quick that does that, just so they know for sure?
Yeah.
Will you airdrop or
Kick me out of Apple too. Okay.
So this one, you guys, is Adobe Spark, and it works just the same. So just in case that one doesn't have an app, because that one's great too.
It has it's a purchase.
So
It's free online.
It's a little bit. So you can go through and it's got the, like Matt was saying, you've got all these different choices, and I like to find one. Right here.
Okay,
So now all I do is.
Is this a free?
Yeah, and actually it's a part of the Creative Cloud suite. It puts a little stamp in the corner if you don't have it, like it'll say made in Adobe Spark. But we have it a part of our Creative Cloud too. But let me show you this real quick. So all I do is hit remix. I tap on the picture in the background. I tap at the top of the thing, there's a little picture icon. So I'm going to tell it that I want to replace it with a picture out of my photo library. So I'm going to go here, and let's choose this pic. I can drag the picture around just using my finger there. And then you can do a filter if you want to. I don't like the glasses, obviously. So you could reposition, you can scale them, you know, so I could put them on somebody's face. So I'm gonna hit delete because I don't want to keep that. And then all I do is type up my text, and I'm gonna put, you know, KHOU, take note, workshop. Thanks. What's cool is, even though that's not, you know, what I can do now is I do this, right? It kind of changes around.
That's cool.
I can rotate it. I can shrink it, put it on this table right in the middle. But what's really neat is, because I've always said I'm not a designer, at the bottom you can now hit, let me hit done. Now there's one called design. Hold on. They have a video app for this too. Okay, so now I'm just choosing these different looks and fonts. Oh, so speaking of size, when I'm done, I can say resize, and you with your account created, you can now send. Here's an Instagram one. Here's a Facebook, Instagram story, and all you do is you hit, let's say, cover page, just hit done.
Like the 3 fonts that everybody uses.
Yeah.
So you can, again, reposition here. So now I can say share in the upper right corner, choose which one I want. I've connected all my accounts to it, and hit go. And it sends that. So, anyway.
What's that one called?
This one is called Adobe Spark.
Okay.
And see all these different, I went into called design, and I'm just pressing all these different ones. So like that's kind of cool, right? I think anyway. So, and you can still just, I'm just touching the picture and adjusting. Okay.
That's cool.
Thank you.
Hey, Tom, should that Adobe Spark post?
No,
See
that
Adobe
one
Spark
builds
video?
the web page.
Okay.
So that this is just an Adobe Spark, I think there's 3 of them. You know what, that was post. No, post was right.
Is it post or video?
That was post.
Okay.
There's a video that works exactly the same. Heidi's was nice though. That quick thing is really nice. And then they have one that actually will build you a web page. So. I'm done. I'm out.
I think we're done.
Thank you guys.
Remember, there are donuts. I got donuts.
Getting you just get some random things that has no news value, but it's just. Nice on the table. Nice to get an angle. Everyone's gonna take a look.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to
Yeah. So about 11. Nobody else going for those donuts?
No, I am.
Yeah, okay, good. Follow your lead.
I didn't put my name on it. I should take my name or whatever.
Yeah, but
I gotta get it.
you got it, so enjoy it.
I feel like somebody was
I try to get a good representation.
I was waiting for you to go down like 20 seconds.
We all just
Yeah, it was unusual and nothing bad was happening. Nobody, it's not like somebody was breaking into all cars, it was just something that set the cars off.
Yeah.
Right?
Which one do you recommend?
Yeah.
Lose it.
What with the kids?
I like that one. Okay.
I know, of course, I have Facebook, but it's just, I don't know.
It's gonna have to grow a bit, right?
And it's great training and great guidance.
Sounds like a cool
I don't know
that is.
What's up, Dave? What up?
Huh? I still have MySpace. It just must
I did what I saw him like something where if I'm gonna do something that's gonna have some impact related to jobs.
No donut for you? David's been working out. He's trying to.
Look at me.
Yeah, I saw Lisa.
I like to take the stairs. What's an elevator?
Graduation, like 11,000 views.
Lisa Courtney,
Yeah. And that was a clip that I got of a guy doing this victory dance at his graduation. And I put that on Twitter and Instagram. It did well in both of them. So it was just shown at the spark. But there's something, you know, like if you just happen to get that and you thought, well, that's kind of funny, I'm just going to get it. What would you do with this?
I would tell everyone my area that So, because I didn't let the website go, but most likely there are rules about how many times they should post a day. And so they're very curated with what they want. So a lot of times, then I stuff will not make the Instagram.
I just started this year.
And they
I
won't
only have
share
like 100
my
followers,
Facebook.
and I'm only
You know
getting
what I
about
mean?
200.
So, that's why I think
But
it's good to have your own
what's your account?
outlet to do that
Yeah.
stuff. And then,
So you'd have put, I mean, Twitter is not really the place where you get.
Oh yeah, look at you. You've got almost 5,000 followers. What's your secret, man?
I don't know if that would, I mean, what kind of reaction would you get if you put that on Twitter? Would you have, how would you get that to get?
I feel like that is like, that,
17 posts?
out of all the platforms, I feel like Twitter is the best platform for it, because it's like a funny
Alright, so you
caption,
should really be giving
and
this
it's
crap.
something that is almost really like on there. Facebook, it's hard because like I